In this demonstration, we're going to look at adding a HyperV host to a Virtual Machine Manager installation. So what I've done here, I've just launched my Virtual Machine Manager console. I've come into my VMs and services, come to all hosts because I've only got the one host group at the minute. We'll right click at this point here, and what we want to do is we want to add HyperV hosts and clusters. This brings us into Wizard, so we can add Windows Server computers in a trusted Active Directory domain, Windows Server computers in an untrusted Active Directory domain, Windows Server computers in a perimeter network. This actually means that we do have to install the VMM agent locally on the targeted machines before we run through the wizard, and physical computers to be provisioned as virtual machines. And as it says here, select this option to add bare metal computers with baseboard management controllers. So what we'll do at this point here is we're just going to add them in a trusted Active Directory domain. What we're going to do is just manually enter our credentials, and this is just to allow us to authenticate through the HyperV host, so we'll select next. What we'll do is we'll specify the computers by name. So first one I'll add in here will just be lon-host1.datum.com, and select next. So it's found the host, so we'll just select the host, select next. We're just going to specify to all hosts. Now down at the bottom here we've got reassociate this host with the VMM environment. So if it was being managed by a different virtual machine manager, what we're doing here is we're just associating that HyperV host with this virtual machine manager. So we're not going to bother with that. We're not going to bother adding any paths for adding virtual machine placement, and we'll select next. Then what we'll do is select the finish button, and what it's now going to do, it's going to run through a job, and this job will then add the HyperV host to the virtual machine manager. And this will take a little while, so we'll just pause the video and return back once the host has been added. The task completed, if we just click on here, what we find here is we're just getting a warning to say that multipath I/O is not enabled for known storage arrays. So it's a warning, it's not an error, that's fine. We now have the host popping up, and if we right click on the host, we can have a look at the properties, and we can get information about the server. So on the general page, general information, status is everything's up and running. Have a look at the hardware settings for the HyperV host. We've got the host access, so we can specify run as accounts. We've got the virtual machine paths for creating virtual machines initial placement. We've got reserves, and what reserves allow us to do is it sets aside reserves for the host operating system on the HyperV host. So that is kept aside for HyperV, not given out to virtual machines. We can see all of the storage added to the HyperV host, any of the virtual switches that have been created. We've got our migration settings within here, placement paths for virtual machines, servicing windows, so as we can see here, which specify the servicing windows to which the virtual machines will be subscribed, and then we can also specify our custom properties as well. So we'll select OK at this point here. Next thing to do will be to add lon-host2. It's exactly the same as adding lon-host1, and that's the end of this demonstration. Thanks very much.